President Lagarde, Governor Wieland, Governor Escriva, Governor Nagel, ECB Chief Economist Philip Lane, ECB Board Member Schnabel, and ladies and gentlemen and dear friends, most of all, welcome. I'm delighted that you're all here today, we're all together. Pleased to welcome you to this conference, which brings together the ECB and its watchers since 1999. Today, we meet for the 25th conference, so 25, and I prepared all this a bit late, so the people on the technical side already asked me, do I have sound? And they could have piped it in, but the celebration sound, but you have to imagine it. And of course, if one can count, and given the series started in 1999, we're actually 27. Very fitting that Axel just walked in, who is actually the founder, together with Ottmar Issing, of this conference way back in 1999. So in principle, we are 27, but since there were 2 years without a meeting, we didn't feel like we could actually celebrate 27, so we're celebrating 25 today. President Lagarde, we are really honored that you have chosen to address this group regularly at this occasion. So we're very, very grateful for that. Thank you. You are the third ECB president, actually, to support this series in this way. And this reminds me of this celebration. A few years ago, the ECB's 25th birthday with Jean-Claude Trichet and Mario Draghi, when you celebrated and the ECB's 25th anniversary, or 25th birthday. So, even so, the celebration is short. These days, we're thinking of many other things. Other things are on our mind, things such as this. Namely, and I didn't bring the sound for this either. Namely, how to build up defense very, very quickly. How to build up our defensive capabilities. And this is, of course, of the essence. It's absolutely needed. And as we prepare for war in order to prevent war, I think the following famous citation from The Art of War comes to mind. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, and you know that from business school probably, or from other training and reading, if you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. So self-knowledge is where we should start, and I think we have issues there also here in Germany, I'm sure. In some way, actually, the quest for such knowledge is something we are also engaged today. It's an objective today, right? We're basically aiming to contribute to the ECB's strategy review. We aim to contribute to this by reviewing the lay of the land, the economic environment. That will be the topic of the first panel later on. And as you know, because of the strategy review, we have a bit of a different format as planned together with the ECB, that the governors, instead of debating very actively, directly with two experts from academia or from the private sector, they will lean back a little bit, and we bring in three experts, and they have graciously agreed to chair first this panel, which will follow right after President Lagarde's speech, which will be chaired by Governor Wieland, and then after lunch, we'll look at reviewing the armaments, so the ECB's tools. And that will be chaired by Governor Escriva from the Bank of Spain. And last but not least, we will review the strategy or collect contributions, ideas on the strategy, and that will be chaired by Governor Nagel from the Bundesbank. So that's the plan. We will have current and former policymakers on the panels. And one thing, came to mind to me as I was thinking, especially about the first topic, which will start after the speech, on reviewing the lay of the land, and that's why I brought up the tank, which, as you see, we do things very properly, and the tank on the picture also had a legal, what you need to drive on roads, starting with Y, that's the Bundeswehr. For those who did some service there, they know that. But anyway, that's why I had the tank, and as we think of the lay of the land, oops, we are thinking also of the big news of the day coming from Berlin. Right? Our political leaders are envisioning a large debt-financed spending boom focused on defense and infrastructure. And there's no doubt in my mind that we absolutely need an extensive buildup of defense. It's actually extremely urgent. And at least in the near to medium term, there is no way around substantial debt finance for that. However, some caution is in order, and there are negotiations ongoing. We'll see what comes out. There's a big package planned, many political promises. I thought, why not go back? When did we have last such a large debt-financed increase in government spending, especially infrastructure spending, in Germany? It's actually some time ago, but many of us will remember. That was the reunification boom. That's when we had a large initiative in terms of building up infrastructure. It was much needed, of course. And many times when people talk about the infrastructure gap in Germany and they're looking at numbers of public infrastructure spending relative to the past, they always end up comparing to the 90s, where a lot of infrastructure was built, particularly on the local level. So that was the reunification boom, and importantly, between 1990 and 1995, Germany's sovereign debt to GDP ratio rose as a consequence of this and other spendings, other decisions, by more than 15 percentage points. In nominal terms, debt actually doubled, but that was in nominal terms. The increase was 15 percentage points in the debt to GDP ratio. But also, you will remember, inflation increased from 2 to 6% along the same time. And policy rates, we have a number of people who spend a long time at the Bundesbank. Policy rates in those days, the D-Mark and the Bundesbank rose actually from levels from around 4% to 9%. So many of us remember the consequences, the very important European consequences. Does history repeat itself? No, I don't think it repeats itself. It's not the same story today, but could some of these forces play a role or be in play in coming years? Quite possibly. So this needs some careful attention. I wouldn't be able to delve into that further now. Rather than doing that, President Lagarde, I want to say we are very grateful, again, that you are starting us off today with your presidential address. Your leadership is essential. I mean, just in the last few days, when I look at my Twitter feed, I also see the various things from the ECB. And just in the last few days, if I follow your footsteps on the news, it's a tour de force, right? Just for a moment. I mean, you made key decisions with your fellow central bankers. You're connecting to the world of finance. You explained it all to the media. You met with European government leaders, where precisely, I'm sure, you also exchange views on these matters at hand. You're returning now to speak to the ECB watchers, and you will swing by the European Parliament next week for the multi-dialogue. So everyone here, of course, knows your exceptional career and how the many positions of great responsibility that you have held in past years have actually, positions in policy, in politics, in finance, They have more than prepared you for your role at the helm of the ECB and in the center of European policymaking. So I will not go into more detail listing the many accomplishments in details, but instead wish you continued success in leading the ECB as Europe prepares for these new challenges and battles. So without much further ado, may I ask you to the podium.